As women, we are very emotional, and sometimes that makes us vulnerable. How do we go about this trait? So Dr. Tanvi, I feel like you have a contribution to make to this conversation, and maybe Tracy too.
We should have had a whole panel just on this topic of women and they're more emotional and what do men think about it. And I just want to say, to the person who may have asked this question, this belief that women are more emotional, like where does that belief come from? What is more emotional, right? Sometimes I have to ask women who say, well, women are more emotional, men are not. And I'm like, well, compared to what? Like, what is the standard? And it's interesting because in organizations, certain types of emotions are legitimized, such as anger as an emotion is perfectly very often associated with a man in authority, when he's talking, and that's a legitimate emotion. And sometimes when women express their emotion, they might be seen as having a meltdown, right? So it may be the same degree of emotion, it may be the same emotion, but the legitimacy that they're given in the boardroom or in a meeting differs. So I think that it's an interesting question to explore at the level of the organization as well, as to what might be the unconscious biases we may carry about ourselves or others when we see people who are passionate. So the person who has asked this question, here's a quick piece of coaching for you right there. If you're finding you're getting very passionate about something, or you're about to be kind of tearing up, or you're about to explode with something, here's a little piece of advice. Okay, because I'm someone who has no problems expressing my emotions and be a little bit more passionate than people can handle. A simple caveat is this. Before you speak, I want you to tell the people, what I'm about to say is going to sound very passionate because I really care about what we are working on. Here's how I feel. Okay, literally that little caveat will allow them to hear you differently and to situate you in the fact that there is a reason why you're getting so worked up, or this is a reason why you are experiencing that surge of emotions. Part of the problem in organizations is that we have left emotions out the door. And we are in the middle of a pandemic, and this is the conversation we need to have, is about humanizing the workplace and understanding how emotions need to be dealt with as leaders, like James was saying, the concept of emotional intelligence, thinking about how we talk about giving legitimacy to some emotions versus others when we are talking about gender. This is a whole track. We need to have like a separate panel discussion just for this, but I hope that one statement will help the person who's asked that question.